Record. Okay. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, so wherever you're located, guys. First of all, thank you, Chuck, for making time for this on Friday evening. It's very hard, I know, to make a time on Friday evenings. So our topic for today is Sunikipiku, which is a Japanese word for let's talk basically. And me and Dhruv we are very fan of let's talk word. Our podcast also starts with that. So what we are going to do today is, first of all, we have Chuck Tomasi, Senior Developer Advocate from ServiceNow, who is going to take us on a drive in Tokyo for Tokyo releases features. So the plan is nothing but that we talk about Tokyo release features. We ask questions to Chuck so that he can answer those and we can plan our next release efficiently. FYI, maybe Chuck will also say that in his introduction, that whatever we are going to talk today about the features can come in general availability or cannot come. So please do not make any purchase decisions or any advanced decisions. Don't buy stocks based upon this discussion, which we are doing today.
He's really good at that safe harbor thing by now.
Indeed. Thanks to LCSH as well for that. And I'm your host, Ashutosh Munot. I work as a ServiceNow architect with Nationale Nederlanden in Netherlands. Without wasting any time, Chuck, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ashutosh. And thank you, everybody, for coming along on this ride. We have a good number of participants here, and you never know, more might show up. And I just realized I didn't quite understand the title on this slide until you said it, and then I realized what it means. It was like my daughters came home one day from school with a couple of Japanese words. One was the Japanese word for necktie, and it was nekutai. And ice cream is aisukurimo. So when you said Sunikipiku, it's based on the words we would say for sneak peek.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
I think there are two meanings for it. So let's talk and also sneak peek. So that is also the meaning of it. So sneak peek is also related to Sunikipiku.
All right, I am going to do a screen share. I've got a slide deck that we used for Tech Now a couple of weeks ago. So we'll use it as a guide. And if anybody has any questions or discussion, this is better than Tech Now because you don't have to type your questions in. You can just unmute and ask questions. So I got to do a little bit of screen rearranging so I can actually make this happen. Put that there. That's not what I intended to do. Let me try that again. You know, PowerPoint just kind of wants to do its own thing. It behaved one way 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, and just for our audience, when Chuck is speaking, maybe please be on mute, and if you can raise your hand, I can just transfer the floor for a question to the guy who is raising or girl who is raising the hand.
Slideshow, set up. Put it on some other monitor, please. Let's see where it goes now. That ought to work. Okay. Sorry for the delay.
No problem.
I'm doing a presentation on Monday all about this. Like, hey, show up early and practice. Make sure your things work. Okay. Now we just need to share the right screen. You cannot start a screen share while other participant is sharing.
I am going to start.
Yeah, let go. There we go.
Right.
And I want to share that one. How's that?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. Made a slight. Now, where did... Oh, never mind. Oh, there's everybody. Okay, I lost the panel of people. Okay, let's get on with this. So you don't need an introduction from me, but in case this is the first time we've met, I'm a senior developer advocate. I've been with ServiceNow since 2010, so I just passed my 12th anniversary a couple of months ago. I was a customer for a couple of years before that and have a big long history of computer stuff going back 40 years, which we won't talk about today, but happy to talk with you sometime about it. We will be talking about, we've got the opportunity. Let me just put it to you that way. We can talk about App Engine, Automation Engine, anything you see on here. If you've got questions, let me know. So Pranav specifically called out App Engine, said, I'd like to see some stuff on App Engine. And one of the things we've done is integrated Flow into the table builder. And I did an interview with Matthew Ripley for our Breakpoint podcast yesterday, and I learned a few more things about this. One is when you click flows, App Engine has always had Flow Designer in it. You know, when you go into App Engine Studio, you see tables or data, and then you see flows and experience and security. Those are the four main pillars that make up your applications. When you look at the flows from that dashboard, you see all the flows, the ones that are date triggered, the ones that are inbound email triggered, the ones that are table triggered. When you're in the table builder, you get table, which shows you the fields for a table. You get forms, which shows you the various forms and views for that table. And if you click flows now, you will get the flows that are associated to that table. So it's setting up this table-centric thing, very similar to if you're in the standard UI and you right-click on a list or a form and you say configure business rules, you only see the business rules for that table. This is the same kind of thing. So very simple, but very handy to keep you in that table-centric mode. We've also got a new formula builder. We were doing a little bit of this on Live Coding Happy Hour today. This is my first venture into that. There are a number of formulas that are, the formula builder is designed to make it easy for people to migrate from Excel to ServiceNow for calculated fields. For example, name field is first name and a space and a last name. You can use the concatenate function. There's multiply, divide, min, max, average, sum, all kinds of different things you can put in there. Again, we were fooling around with this. The one thing that's missing right now, and I know it's coming out soon, because I asked Matthew about this morning, I said, hey, do we have anything that's equivalent to checking for an empty value? Like when you're scripting in a calculated field and you say current.name.nil or is nil or gs.is nil, some way to say, is this empty? That doesn't exist today, but it is coming. He knows, he said, I knew somebody was going to ask that sooner or later. And I said, yeah, me. But we did find a creative workaround. If you watched Live Coding Happy Hour, we used the length function to check if the length of a date is greater than 0, meaning it's not empty. So a bit of a hack, but it worked. I don't know that I would necessarily roll that into production today, but the formula builder is really cool. The data is stored in the sys dictionary entry under the calculated field. And when you open up the dictionary entry and see calculated field, there's now a second pull down that says script or formula. And then the box under that changes accordingly. Now, if you use, you can type in these formulas into that box and say multiply, cost times price, and that will, it's not even cost times price, it's cost comma price, and you would get some kind of amount or quantity, or cost quantity, you get the idea. And if you type them in there, you don't get any kind of syntax checking or what's it called? Like the type ahead you would get with an editor. If you do this through the field properties, either in Form Builder or Table Builder, you get the properties on the right-hand side, kind of like UI Builder, kind of like everything else we have. You get the properties on the side, and there's a form editor that pops up, and it helps you build that formula. So within App Engine Studio, there's a lot more, I'm going to loosely call it error checking, but assistance to make these formulas. This is a really neat feature. I encourage you to play around with it. Template sharing, we came out with the ability to create templates in San Diego. Now we have the way to discern who you want to share them with, a user, a group, or everyone, very similar to a lot of other things you've seen in the platform. We've got the ability to author email notifications within App Engine Studio. This was a long time coming, something that I've been looking forward to. It does use the same table. I forget, somebody can correct me on this if I'm wrong, but it's sys email action or sys event action. I forget which table that is, where all the other notifications are stored. When you trigger them by insert or update, or you trigger them by record updated or created, it's that same table under system notifications. So same place, nice central administration stuff. And if you notice in that call out, it says when triggered via flow action, there's a new type of trigger. So you can add this to a collection, as it were, of notifications you can use in Flow Designer. Then you go into Flow Designer, and instead of using the action called send email, which you fill in the subject, you fill in the body, you use send notification, and it goes, great, which notification do you want me to use? And there it is with all your other notifications. So if you had to make a tweak to somebody's notification and the company says, hey, we need to change the copyright message on the bottom of all our notifications, having them in that notification table is a whole lot easier than going through and trying to figure out which flows we're sending email. And, oh, I've got to go through and reversion all of my flows. And, oh, wait, there were some over in workflows. Oh, and I've got some, it's like, it was a complete mess. So I highly encourage using centralized notifications whenever possible. Any questions so far?
Yes. So first of all, the formula builder, is it free or it needs a subscription?
Great question. Formula Builder is part of App Engine Studio. So this screenshot is right from Table Builder. Do we need somebody to mute?
Yeah, I did it. No problem.
Okay. So Formula Builder is part of App Engine Studio. The formula usage, you can go right into the system dictionary and start typing multiply cost comma amount or cost comma quantity and use them that way. You won't have any of the benefits of App Engine Studio helping you. So the form builder is part of App Engine Studio. App Engine Studio is part of App Engine. App Engine is a licensed product. But formula interpretation and using it in the dictionary, you can use that all you want. It's, do you want the easy way and pay for it? Do you want the hard way and pay for it? Good question.
Yeah. And then the second question is, are we saying if we want to add multiple cell to a target cell, is it possible?
Add multiple what?
Multiple cells to target cell.
So, just like Excel, like
Excel sheet.
Excel we call something like concatenation, like first name, last name, then you put on the formula thing.
Yes, you would use, it's all the fields are whatever's on the current record. So we don't have the ability to go dot walking down something else, at least not at this point, or do a lookup and get an aggregate for some reason. That's all scripting stuff. And the idea here is don't do any scripting, because what was happening was we would get these people that would import their spreadsheets and go, hey, I've got some formulas I want to use. And then they'd try to do a calculated field, look at JavaScript and go, no, I'm not doing JavaScript. And so they would kind of get turned off of this whole process. So we introduced them to something they're familiar with. But in the formula builder, actually, you know what? We were doing some examples of this. I'm going to do a screen share. How about that? I mean, I'm going to do a demo. You want to see a quick demo?
Yes.
All right, good. Because I'm going to do a demo. Let me do the right screen this time. We were just doing this. I know it's on here already. We were doing this on Live Coding Happy Hour, so everything should be right here. I created a sample application I simply called Carbon, which had some orders on it. And This name field is an aggregation of first name and last name. The amount is a calculation of quantity ordered times cost. So you can see 500 times 10, I guess, is 45. Oh, there's a discount applied on here. We really went overboard this afternoon. And if you look at the dictionary, configure dictionary for some of these, you will see that amount, this will be a fun one, has a calculated value of type formula. Here's the drop down that says script or formula. And they say subtract, then multiply. So we took multiply quantity order times cost, but then we wanted to apply a discount, which was some division and some subtraction, and you can nest these things pretty nasty. But what you see here for quantity ordered, if you were going to do that in JavaScript, it would be current dot, either current dot quantity ordered or current dot get value quantity ordered, and that would be current cost, current discount, etc. So it's pretty easy to figure out where these things are coming from. When you see this in App Engine Studio, show you how the formula builder appears, and bring up my Carbon app. I'm trying to reduce my carbon footprint. Hey, edit. Or you could say my application is capturing carbon. So I can see it here over on the right-hand side is a formula down on the bottom, ding, 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 down here. And if I click edit, there's my editor, with color coding and keywords. And if you type something wrong, it will say, no, 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 you've got something wrong. And we had to work a little bit to make this work because I was tearing it apart and nesting things out. It was rather humorous. Where was the other one? We had the date, the fulfillment duration. Okay, it's a duration field. Let me show you from the form editor how that might look too. So you can go in here and say, here's my duration field, and over here is my formula for that as well. Now, we didn't have a way to say empty field, so we used this. If the length of the date shipped value is greater than 0, hey, we've got a date, then go use date shipped. Otherwise, use now. And that's not a ServiceNow joke, that's actually the current date and time, as you would suspect.
So Chuck, I have a question around this formula thing.
Yeah.
So right now you're typing everything, right? Is it like syntax is coming automatically or something like that?
Let me do a simple case for you. So I don't have name on the form, so I can always get this from the list. So as you type, I've got this expanded out so you can read it a little better. Hopefully everybody can read this.
Yeah.
Woohoo! There we go. Let me copy that just so well, I guess we don't have to save it. So what I did is I said concat, and you see how it kind of helps you out? Concatenate, and then I said title case, first name, and it starts putting these in for you. Comma, a space, oops, not a quote, comma, title case, last name, boom. I think that's what I had. Let's paste the other one in. Okay, this is interesting because I was wondering about this. I typed these, and when you start typing things, it's like when you're in the nested stuff, it adds parentheses for you, like many common editors do. But it was kind of getting in the way, and when I would back up, it wouldn't do the autocomplete anymore. So I said, I wonder if it will work with lowercase, and it actually does. So this works equally well. This one just is a little easier to read because it's got the color coding and it's all uppercase. And you can see what the actual result down here is. Now, as you type these things, you can also click, it will show them down here, but as you type them, let's say I did subtract, it will show you the syntax for subtract. So you go, what is the syntax? Or you can, oops, come down here. Great demo, Chuck, great demo. You can come down here and see what the syntax is. So you don't have to jump to the documentation all the time to remember how this works. So this is this formula editor here is available within Table Builder. And let's exit that. Otherwise, you would be editing it here. And this doesn't give you any type of head or anything yet. I don't know if they're planning to do that or not.
Yeah, but if we want to define a custom function, like you use concatenate, if I want to define my own function, is it possible?
Not at this point, but I know who you can talk to put in an idea.
Yeah.
Matthew Ripley.
Definitely.
That's a great idea. I like the idea of doing that. It almost feels like, you know, the is dynamic functions, that you can create your own dynamic functions in the, you know, the list filtering stuff or reporting or wherever. That would be an intriguing way to do this, because, you know, a lot of this would be easy to tie into JavaScript if you could have self-defined functions.
Yeah.
And maybe it's like a bit of a dumb question, but about like this formula thing works on the server side, so they're not working on the client side, right? Like if you change certain things on the field directly, so you won't see it directly. Because I had a similar requirement where user was entering details on the form, and we have to quickly apply the discount there. So I can use these fields, but I wanted to show it on the real time on the form. So it won't work directly. They have to save it then to make it work.
Correct. You would have to resort to client script like anything else. Now, typically, you know, your citizen developer or somebody who's typically running around in App Engine Studio, you know, you, me, and the other experienced people know how to do a client script. They're not going to know how to do a client script. If they came up with a requirement like that, you go, hey, I can help you. You go finish doing your form layout and all that stuff. Tell me what you think you want to do. And then if you need to do some scripting, then you come to me for help.
Great.
All right.
No other questions at the moment.
Okay. Let me see what else we can do. It went back to the old screen. I don't know what happened here. Stop share. Restart share on main screen. There we go. Okay. So that's Formula Builder. Template sharing, we talked about emails. App Engine Management Center is new to Tokyo. This is going to be your control tower, if you will, for managing everything in scoped apps. And I don't know if it'll do globals or not. I'll have to check on that. We'll have more information on the podcast and in some videos in September. So we haven't gotten to that part yet. Automation Engine, if you're not familiar, this is the combination of RPA Hub, which we came out with in Q1. That's our robotic process automation offering, combined with Integration Hub. So Integration Hub has been around for quite some time, typically used integrating with Flow Designer to do your integrations in this drag and drop, fill in a quick modal kind of thing. So with this, we bring in Automation Center, which has a few really nice features, one of which is to provide hard proof of value to the people who pay for this stuff. They say, hey, I paid $1 billion for automating all this stuff. Is it working? You can actually set up target goals and identify how much time you saved and how much money you saved by setting these up. So that's one of the things. It provides what we call CIO ROI. I know that's an alphabet soup. The other thing is it's got a built-in catalog item, so you can do intake. When somebody says, hey, I'd like to automate whatever, then you can start your analysis of, is this an integration? Is this an RPA bot? What does it mean? When do you want to do this? How often? Start down that long path of questions. But it allows you an intake funnel for doing this stuff. So a lot of cool stuff in Automation Center. We've also added document intelligence, which I like to say we taught ServiceNow how to read. You can use, I believe it's JPEGs, PDF, And there's a third one I'm not remembering. It will do the Microsoft formats in a future release, Doc, PPT, and Excel later. But what you do is you define regions on here and say, this is where the quantity is, and this is where the unit price is, and this is where the amount is, and input that stuff, and then you can suck it into Flow Designer, which we provide out-of-box functions for that. So you can use that processed data. It's almost like a smart scanning thing. You've probably seen this if you've ever like taken a picture on your camera of an expense report and it somehow magically knows where things are. It's like, wow, that's really cool. So this is also going to be appearing in App Engine Studio as part of a form builder. I'm kind of giving things away here, but this is the safe harbor part. In a future release, this same technology will be used to say, use a PDF to start building a table and forms, which I think is just outstandingly witchcraft exciting. Yeah, go ahead.
And yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Ash. Okay, so Chuck, like this document intelligence, can it be used in global also? Because I see a lot of times we use this kind of a thing on incidents and all. Like there was a kind of a requirement where you attach a PDF and from there you can read it and fill certain detail in the global tables or application. Is it available in the global scope or is it only for the scoped applications?
No, as far as I know, it's available for global.
Got it.
Yeah, this is a paid product. If I can see that $ in the yeah, it is part of the paid product for Automation Engine. So that needs to be taken into account. Anybody does PowerShells, we've got an easy way to test the credentials now. And there is a new scripting API called write-snc log that you can put in your PowerShell scripts to help debug them. If you put that in your PowerShell script, the log output will show up in the mid-server log. So you can say, hey, you know, I'm looking for this file and et cetera, and it will output that. So that was kind of cool. The REST step, we can handle multiple headers with the same key. That comes up from time to time. We can do things like override the MIME type. I don't know why or when, but somebody asked for it, and you know, just some other things with multiple attachments and such. You can also do connection overrides. There's a time periodically when you need to use a different connection for your various data sources. The Integration Hub import, which really makes imports easy for people who say, I've got this spreadsheet. You throw them into App Engine Studio and you say, great, go import from a spreadsheet. Takes care of all of the data sources and transform maps and all that stuff that, you know, really hasn't changed since I started in 2008. Really makes it much, much easier to do. Now, the nice thing is, A, the fields are now sorted in alphabetical order. B, you can do you can map to a target based on something other than a display value for like a reference field. You could say, my spreadsheet has a department code, or my spreadsheet has a department name. Well, the display value on that reference field may be something different. You can go, good, too bad, I'm going to map it to that, which is really nice. And you don't have to rebuild the whole map when either the source or the target changes. It goes, hey, you imported the spreadsheet and it's changed. Do you want to change your source as well? Or do you want to change the map? It's like, yes, I do. We have a debug dashboard. I believe this is for flows and Integration Hub. So it helps you debug and understand what's being used and where. I don't have a whole lot of detail on this yet, so stay tuned for more information. Any questions?
Yes, we have one question from Karan. He says, can document intelligence also handle if header row is dynamic?
If the header row is dynamic.
So in a document, if the header is changing, can the document intelligence still read it?
I don't know, but I would expect so, because you know most of the document is going to be dynamic anyway.
Yeah.
if I had two different purchase orders, but they had the same format, you could say the customer name is over here. Well, the customer name is going to be in the same place on both of those, relatively speaking. The line items and all that stuff is going to be the same. So dates will change. So the content is always going to be dynamic. So whether the header changes or
Header,
not,
I guess by header he means the formatting itself, like the quantity and all of those things. I believe that if that changes, it shouldn't work. If it is working, then
oh, right. If you've got, let's say part number column and then a quantity column
Yeah.
and then a cost, and those are shifting on every time you run a document through, now it's not going to have very good luck trying to parse that out.
Yeah. So it's more like the inbound email integration type. Like if we have a format of
Similar.
an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Similar, same kind of concept.
I was asking like the header row number. Suppose the header row is at the row number 1, then in another document it is at number 5. So that is only the row number is changing. Otherwise the sequence is same. That was my
So what he's asking, Chuck, is if the row gets shift from number 1 to number 5. But
if you're looking at a PDF though, it's not necessarily going to have row numbers. I think and unless I'm misinterpreting something, when I think of rows, I'm thinking of like Excel spreadsheets.
in Excel. In Excel or spreadsheet.
Yeah, we don't do Excel spreadsheets today. So that's not an issue.
And Chuck, like, want to know one thing, like similar kind of like bill is there. For example, a simple receipt is there, which has like headers are different. Like for a software thing, we have maybe 5 headers. For a hardware thing, we have 4 headers. So can we use the same kind of a transfer map or something for both the things? We can define all the 5, and for the first one, it doesn't need to pick the 5th header or something. Is it possible, or we have to create a separate transfer map?
At this point, I don't know for certain, but my gut tells me you would have to have 2 different maps, as it were. I don't know that there's necessarily a transform map, but some pattern to pick that up and say, this is the way my software forms always look. This is the way my hardware forms always look. So when you get one of those and you attach it, say, to a software request form, it can pick the values off of that and populate the software form. So it goes, this pattern goes with this form. Therefore, when I look at your document, I better see things in those relative positions. That's how I understand it, but I could be way off base. Again, I have had 0 training on this so far.
Yeah. One last question on this, Chuck, which I started getting from my stakeholders is RPA Hub will also work based upon transaction. So the licensing part is still transaction based, same like Integration Hub, or is it going to change?
You are asking the wrong person about pricing.
No
I
problem.
have no idea. I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
It might be. Again, it might be based on bots. It might be based on transactions. It might be based on, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, no problem. Let's go to the account manager in this case.
Okay. UI Builder has some new stuff. Again, I'm not a UI Builder expert, so I'm not going to go real deep on this. I know that Brad and Ashley are working on some new content. In fact, they started rolling that out today. I think I saw a video populated on Developer Portal, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's now Platform Academy.
Now Platform Academy. I thought they were going to use ours, but that's okay. So they've rolled this out. What we've found is in a number of places, we didn't have a condition builder. Like you had a reference field to the CMDB CI table, and you click the magnifying glass in your workspace, and it shows you all 3 million CIs. We've added a condition builder on that and some other places, so that was helpful. The email client, or email component, I should say, we used to have 2 different ones, one that had the details and one that didn't. I think they called it the minimum and the general one, whatever it is. Those have been composed, those composers have been collapsed into one, so you just have this little show me more details. We've added user presence. we've had this in the standard platform UI for years and years. So you can see who else is looking at this same record, and then you can use CTI or messaging to get a hold of them. I'm sorry, this is where we added the condition builder for the lists and whatnot. And then we've made a whole bunch of enhancements on tabs, including the ability to do vertical tabs, which I haven't seen anybody do yet, or how to do that, but lots of tab properties and whatnot to enhance the manipulation of your tab components. All right, how are we doing on time? Whew, we're flying through this.
Yeah, we are 40 minutes over. Yeah.
That's all right. Emails. I don't know if you have ever tried to do multilingual email. It's been an interesting experiment in futility. I've done one where you fire one event and have 5 notifications go, is this for me? Because they're all responding to the same event, and do filters on language and whatnot, and it's kind of messy. What we've done is with the plugin, I believe the plugin is simply called notification translation or translated notifications. I'd have to look. It adds a related list called translated notifications, and then you put in these translations of that same notification. So, you know, if your main record, your parent record notification said, you know, hello world, and you wanted to do this in Spanish, you know, hola mundo would be in that related list. So pardon my Spanish, it's not that good. I know enough to be dangerous and ask for more beer.
And is it mandatory that English should be the parent of this?
No.
Yeah,
What it will do though is it will use that as the default if it doesn't find one of the translations.
Yeah.
So if it goes through and it says the recipient of this needs Portuguese, and it says your parent record is English, or your parent record is German, or your parent record is whatever, and it looks through the related list and go, I got Chinese, I've got French, I've got Spanish, I don't have any Portuguese, they're getting whatever the parent record is. So keep that in mind. And then to augment that, we have a dynamic translation plugin that now allows you to say, hey, if I didn't find one of those defaults, I can always send it out to a translation service, which you would have to pay for and get configured, et cetera, to say, take the default, say, English one, translate it for me and send that. So there's, Robert Fedor came out with a really good video on this about a week and a half ago, shortly after the Tech Now, on how to do that. So watch for that as well. I think he calls his new ones Tokyo Talks. No,
yeah,
that's yours. What was it? I can't remember. He's got some catchy
Tokyo Tour.
Tokyo Tours, yes. Tokyo Talks was yours.
Yeah.
I watched that Monday morning. Thank you.
No problem.
It helped me prepare for Creator Toolbox.
We were relying on you for our questions.
Hey, you know, I found out Monday morning I'm doing a presentation. I got to study everything I can. S-MIME is now supported if you want to do secure emails that way. I know a lot of people have been asking about this, particularly in like federal and financial spaces. They need more security around their emails for both incoming and outgoing. So nice stuff there. If you've ever used guided setup for like ITSM or CSM, you can now create your own guided setup on scoped apps. I have been waiting for this since they came out with guided setup in 2016. I hacked one of my own together. You needed maint access to do this previously, which not a whole lot of people have. And I said, gee, you know, every app in the store should have its own guided setup because there's always some property you've got to set or some lookup data you've got to build before you can actually use an application. And now you can do that. I messed around with this. I gave the product manager some feedback and I haven't had a chance to read their answers in about 6 weeks. So shame on me, but there it is. You can now do this. We also acquired a company called .walk.io about 8-10 months ago. That's been platformed. This allows you to do AI generated tests for ATF is what it does. And it's got really good reviews and really high acclaim. when it was with .walk.io. I don't know if you remember Jared Latham, his name is in the demo data, but he used to be an employee. He went off and started .walk.io, and now he's back. He's kind of like the prime product manager of this thing. So it's interesting to watch how some people's careers go. Maybe I ought to go invent something and come back. We also have an admin center for system admins. Robert did a video on this as well, gave it a mixed review, has some nice things, has some potential. Effectively, it allows administrators to maximize their value on the platform. So when you have things that maybe you've purchased that you haven't installed, or you've installed one thing that says, oh, you know what else would be handy if you used this. So just kind of a nice central repository of what you've got, where you're going, is it deployed, just a nice dashboard. So I encourage you to watch his video too. I think he's got some really good feedback, and I hope our product managers watch that too. All right, a couple of quick things on mobile. There's only like 2 slides here. One is the use of our adaptive authentication plugin to allow mobile users to access IP restricted instances. So if you say, hey, you can only access this instance from our corporate IP addresses, including the VPN, as soon as somebody leaves the building, they're off of the corporate Wi-Fi, they go, hey, I can't access anymore. What's the point of mobile? You can set this up so that they can register their device and access that way. So just sort of a, hey, let's pretend I'm still on the VPN thing. It's like an exception list almost. And then the mobile card builder has some new capabilities for supporting image backgrounds, videos. What else did we add? Accessibility. It respects the accessibility of the parent device. So if you go into your iOS, like my wife says, turn on the large font on the phone settings, the mobile application respects that as well. So lots of cool things, and many more new card templates. So I had to glance at my notes to find that one. Some new stuff in Flow Designer and Process Automation Designer, because we're talking workflow. This is all built into the platform. You won't see any $signs on these slides. We've added some new out-of-box activities. We've got, this one's kind of subtle. I don't even know if I should have even put the note on here for Process Automation Designer, but we've improved some performance with something called a proxy data broker. And in order to help the playbook users, we automatically advance to the next step or stage when you click something. It's not like click, next, go. It's just like click, hey, it advanced. Now, I did have somebody ask a question on TechNow, and they said, is there a way to disable that and go back to manual advance? I got the product manager's response this morning, and he said, I'd love to engage with a discussion to find out what the use case is for that, because it feels like you're slowing people down rather than letting them go at lightning speed. So that was an interesting one as well. Flow Designer also has some read-only roles. If you've got auditors or maybe some process owners that want to go poking around, you can let them look, but they don't save. You can put read-only roles on any of the flows, the actions, or the execution details, or the operations is what that bottom one is. Or you can just say, give them FD read, and they're going to be read-only for pretty much everything. It takes away the buttons that say activate, takes away the buttons that say, create a copy. So they can't really do any destructive work, but they can look around and see what happened and how's it going. We've also extended the functionality of the flow diagramming view. So new things supported in there, makes it easier for people to view and create flows in this kind of traditional flow chart format, if you will. So this has been very popular, and we'll continue to add more things because not everything is supported in here yet. We've also got a couple of new APIs on the scriptable flow runner. I don't know if anybody's ever used that. That's what comes out when you build your flow and you say, I need the script because I'm going to dump that into a UI action or something. There's one called with roles, Because when you set up a flow, you've got the ability to say, I want to run it with this role only while the flow is running. So maybe Chuck doesn't have we'll use my example earlier, the carbon user role, but the flow can run with the carbon user role while I'm running that. It's like a temporary grant. And the scriptable API now has that. You can say, oh yeah, you know that setting we put at the properties of your flow? Let's use that, and you can activate it from the API. Same kind of thing as user, you can run it as a specific user. So neat new stuff. Those bottom two are not directly tied to that image. That's an FYI. The decision builder. So we came out with decision tables, then we made a nice UI to manage decision builder. And if you listened to Julia Perlis on a Breakpoint about 6 months ago, I said, what's on the roadmap? One of the things she said is the ability to export the decision table to Excel and edit them and import them back in so that people can edit the decision table in a familiar environment like Excel. So we've got that. There's also like an advanced mode. They call this the decision rule view. However, if you start doing advanced things in the decision rule view, those can't be exported into Excel. So you kind of step beyond what that import-export capability is allowed to do. Keep that in mind. But for your casual citizen developer who wants to make a decision table, they've got a couple ways to do it. They can use Decision Builder or they can export it. And something I noticed when I was browsing around, the action step picker, if you're building actions in Flow Designer, this has now got a slightly different layout. It used to have this side by side with the descriptions below, and I kept going right, left, right, left, right, left. Where's my thing? I like this a little better. It's just more straightforward of a way to find the steps you're looking for. Any questions, comments? Oh, time is flying.
Not so far.
Okay. Quick on authentication, real quick, we've added some information security pages so you can manage your certs and requests a lot more effectively. I'm going to go through this real quick. We've added an identity provider to the custom URL record. I don't know if anybody's familiar, but you can use a plugin for custom URLs. You don't have to stick with myinstance.service-now.com. If you've got access to the DNS entries, you can do some forwarding and custom URLs and configure the instance to respond to, helpdesk@mycompany.com, that kind of thing. If you are pointing to a custom URL that has a portal on it, for example, you could say, this is my portal for my citizens. Let's say you're running the Town of London Transportation Authority or whatever it is. You say, citizens go to this URL, steers them to that portal. I'm going to use a custom IDP for that specific portal. My employees, however, are going to go to a different portal. They're going to use a different IDP. So the point here is you can use different IDPs with different portals, different custom URLs. Very nice. I love this one. I love this one, and I can't wait to get to live coding happy hour when we can play around with this. So OAuth, as we know, is not fun to set up. And it's still not fun to set up. This doesn't help with that. So what it does is when you set up OAuth prior to Tokyo, it was one key, one integration. Here we go. For example, when I get my nightly YouTube stats for our content that we build, it's using OAuth credentials for one account. If I wanted to set up a Twitter bot, for example, the only credential I could use with those flows with that app are the credentials that I put in for that one account. It was like system to system OAuth. This, starting with Tokyo, we can now do individual users. So if I wanted to do that same Twitter bot, I could say, send this tweet as Chuck using Chuck's OAuth credentials to Chuck's account on Twitter at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Send this one as Earl at 2 p.m. to Earl's account. So you can start getting user individual ones. Now, for a work scenario, think about onboarding an employee and you need to authenticate as that employee in Workday or in a CRM or some other thing that needs to log in and authenticate and say, I'm logging in as Chuck, go figure out what Chuck's tasks are in this other system so that I get just Chuck's tasks, rather than, hey, system, so it adds some accountability because you know who is authenticating with different accounts, and it personalizes it and keeps things a little more secure because you only grant the access for that integration that needs to be granted. So I'm looking forward to testing this one myself. Okay, some other random cool stuff. We've got a new plugin called Protected Tables, which allows you to truly create immutable tables. Some of you may know Sys Audit and some of the other tables. What are they? Sys History Line, those kind of things. You can actually change those with a clever glide record query. It's no secret that glide record does not respect ACLs, and you can create a query that goes and changes those. And for many of our customers that need really strict auditing, that's not good enough. This locks them down. So whatever tables you put in here, and they have to be either these tables or extended from these tables. You can't just go, hey, I'd like to put my incident table in here so it's completely read-only and immutable. Or I've got this log table with my custom app. Doesn't work unless it's extended from syslog or one of these other tables. So good stuff for people who really need that level of protection. Data filtration, this is what we did on Tuesday, and also what Dhruv and Ashutosh did on Tokyo Talks. This is a companion to ACLs. So Ashutosh explained it really well that it's built on deny access. I tend to think of it more like IFTTT, where you get this data if you fulfill, if you satisfy this condition. Now, the nice thing about this is it was really designed for companies that, again, have high audit capabilities. Their auditors were saying, you're not supposed to be scripting in ACLs. That's not good. We don't allow that. So we had to come up with some way to grant access without scripting. And we looked at many of the common use cases, and people were saying, well, we script because we want to know if somebody's in a group. We script because we want to know if this certain criteria is met. And we built those, and there's more coming, more capabilities coming to this. This is an MVP. It's a version 1 product. So expect to see more stuff coming out of it. The common question I get is, does it finally get rid of that annoying message on list that says so many records removed due to security constraints? The answer is no, not today. It's on the roadmap. So it's just like ACLs in that respect. But it allows you to do group and IP ranges, and you can even set up a reusable set of this. They call it a subject criteria, where you can have compound statements and says, you have to be an admin, you have to be on this IP range, and you have to be part of this group to do this operation, to see this data. And it also differentiates, it also differs from ACLs in that there's no admin override. So if I'm an admin, I could be maint for all you know. If I don't satisfy that criteria, I don't see that data. So you can debug it with the the debug security, debug ACLs. The debug window pops up, and you can do some filtering and find out why things are working or why they're not really fast that way. Again, Creator Toolbox or the Tokyo Talks should give you some good insight on that.
Look, we were trying that, and we were finding it hard to test every time our results were dependent on cache.do. So is it that a problem, or we were missing something?
There's a known issue with impersonation, and there's a known issue with subject criteria on scoped apps. The caching, I couldn't really get a reliable or consistent result out of that. So I'm still a little fuzzy on where things are working and where they're not. It seemed to work pretty well for what we did on Creator Toolbox. We didn't have to flush the cache. I think I did it just once to say maybe we're having a problem with this, and it wasn't that. So we called out all of the gotchas that we could, and it's already some of these are known defects that are going to be fixed in the next release, possibly in a future patch. So, yep, good call. We support IPv6 if you want to turn this on. The only issue here is is this the one you need to opt into? No, yes, you do need to contact support if you want this plugin turned on. So it will start doing IPv6 logging for you. I don't know if that corresponds to other areas of the platform other than logging. You can do either the expanded, if you're familiar with IPv6s, there's like 8 colon separated blocks of 4 digits. The expanded shows you all of those, whatever it is, 32 characters, and canonical is the collapsed version. So you may see like colon, 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 colon right next to each other, which basically says there's nothing here except all zeros. So that's kind of fun. SCIM stands for, what was it? System for Cross-Identity Management. This is a standard for doing data interchange over HTTP. Think of it like a fancy REST API that defines how users and groups are transferred. We support that now. I haven't had a chance to look at this, but it's from what I understand, you can even set up triggers that say, hey, you changed a user in ServiceNow. Great, go tell Workday about that too. And if you pass it this information of user, you could do users and groups in one payload, which I thought was kind of cool. I haven't had a chance to play with this one yet. GraphQL, we've supported this for several releases. We now have an @stream directive, which is better performance and a little easier to use than the @defer we used to use. And Upgrade Center now has this thing called Upgrade Plans, where you can basically build a package of what it takes to deploy, say, ITSM or a custom application, and what you did with your skipped records on that play. It wraps them all together. Rather than putting them into an update set, it puts them into an application that you publish through the app repo. So then you go on dev, you build your upgrade plan, say it did this, and you need that plugin. So when you get to test or QA or prod, you install it and it syncs all that stuff up. And it says, oh, you know what? I don't have that plugin turned on. I have to go turn that plugin on because that's part of the upgrade plan. And I see you decided to do these certain things with these skipped records. Okay, let's address those. So the whole idea is to make upgrades faster and easier. Where are we going? Oh, and in case you didn't hear the news, we now support ES6 Plus. This is the ECMAScript we're calling ECMAScript 2021. You do need to opt into it. Available for scoped apps only at this point. We're looking at global. It covers ES6, 7, blah, 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 12, and 2021. Oddly enough, the industry has recently approved ECMAScript 2022 as of about 2 months ago. So we have a way to incorporate that a lot sooner. You don't have to wait 7 years for another update. That's what that comes down to. So we did a live coding happy hour on August 5th. I believe there's a follow-up. Somebody just did a live stream yesterday.
Yeah, Dorian, Inside the Barrel.
Yes, I need to finish watching that. I saw it come up and I didn't have a chance to watch it all. So look for that as well. There's going to be tons of information. I am starting to feel like I'm falling behind because I know nothing about what to do with any of this. I didn't have a chance to watch live coding happy hour because I was on a plane, and I need to really brush up. Ultimately, I would love to update the JavaScript series to include some of this new information. I think there's certain levels of efficiency that we can do with these modern JavaScript methods. So that is all I had for that, unless anybody had any other questions.
I don't
Yeah,
see any questions. Yeah, Karna.
So, Chuck, I have a question regarding upgrade plans. So you mentioned about skipped records and other things. So technically, like once we finish the upgrade in the dev environment, we can put like the line item as okay, commit this update sets and do like then move it to production. So is it how it is? We can also specify these update sets to be committed, something like that, or
Update sets aren't going to be part of your upgrade plan, though.
means
Update
can
sets are
we?
going to be part of your
Mhm.
application promotion lifecycle. Don't confuse upgrading your applications with upgrading the platform.
Gotcha, gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah.
So when you upgrade the platform, you take dev and you go from San Diego to Tokyo or Tokyo to Utah or whatever. There's certain things you've got to have in place and certain things that may have been done in dev that do or do not have to be done in your other sub prod and your prod instance. So a lot of times you turn on a plugin in dev and go, whoa, don't ever do that anywhere else. I've been known to do that. Say, can you turn a plugin off, please? Because I don't need that and want that. If the upgrade plan captured that information and said, oh, by the way, you have data encryption turned on. It's like, yeah, I know the upgrade plan caught that. I'm going to throw that out of the upgrade plan so that when I get to subprod, it knows what to do with skip records. It knows what things need to be installed and configured and properties and et cetera, and leaves out that one so that you don't have that turned on. But it's all done through the app repo. So you say, go and capture it, now publish it. And then that shows up in my company's applications. So when you get to the other instances, you go, install. Oh, that's easy.
Got it. Yeah, I need to go through this upgrade plan because
Me
what
too.
I was thinking is like when we do an upgrade, once we finish that thing in dev, we can create a plan where we say, okay, you have this update sets, like which are bugs or something that we found because of the upgrade thing.
Yep.
Put that in the upgrade plan, and once we move that into production, it automatically commits all the update sets that are there by line item. So maybe it's totally different. I'll go through it. It's something new for me.
The whole idea behind upgrade plans is it's another step to get away from update sets. We really want to move away from that. They really don't have much purpose anymore. And there's going to be a point where everybody's going to look back and say, why do we even want to use update sets anymore? There's so many other easy ways to do this that are better governed, less prone to mistakes. I mean, I've made so many mistakes doing update sets in the wrong order, or you can't really audit them. It's crazy. Let me look and see if I can figure out when we will be talking about upgrade plans for anything. Let's see. Tokyo content upgrade. We will be doing upgrade plans on a live stream. Oh, no wonder it sounded familiar. I'm responsible for it. Creator Toolbox on August 30th. So
Oh, yeah.
that's a week from Tuesday. And who am I talking to? I'm talking to Dinesh and Padmaja. So I've got a call with them on Monday, I believe, to say, how's it going? Are you ready? Do you know what to expect? And let's have a good demo.
Perfect. I'll be there.
Yeah. Awesome. I don't see any questions, Chuck.
Okay.
Once
Maybe
again.
I have one more thing. Like this is something not related to Tokyo and all, but as a general question for AES. So what is happening is like when we create apps or something, what I figured is like from AES and Studio, in Studio you get the application menus and everything that gets created automatically. But AES, even if we create a workspace experience, the application menus and modules are not created like how it used to get created in Studio. Is it something intentional or is it something kind of a new feature that will come up in next release? Are you aware of it?
No, that's very intentional because the whole idea of AES is you don't want your citizen developers and you don't want the consumers of those AES applications going back to the standard platform UI. So why build a menu for something they're never going to use or shouldn't be using anyway? It's an encouragement to start using configurable workspaces and that kind of thing that's available in AES. So, but I'm with you. I often find myself like when I built that Carbon application yesterday, it was built in AES, and then I went over to Studio and built an application menu and some modules because I needed to demo it that way. So, consider your audience when you're doing that. There's nothing to say you can't do that, but the citizen developer is not going to be doing application menus and modules that way.
Got it. What I did is like I go ahead and create a table, just a table record in Studio, because when you create a table record, menus are created. Then I switch back to AES to create the fields and everything using the AES code view. So
yeah, the form builder is really nice. The table builder is really nice. There's some really cool stuff coming out in AES that is better than Studio.
But I think like maybe this can be a talk for some other day, but there should be an option where you can just select a checkbox, create application menus and module for this. Because a lot of time when you're building some app, like as a developer, not as a citizen dev, you're building something in AES, you want that application menu also created just for demo or like doing something. So that maybe should be an option in some way, like creating.
Come on, Pranav. As a developer, you're going to the navigation filter at the top anyway, and you're typing x_66238_carbon_order.list. That's how you get your list. Then you make a favorite out of it.
SN utils.
SN utils. True. I had to go to tables. Then I find that table. I forget the scope name. I find that. Then I go .list. Again, repeat the process every time I have to do.
You need to go. You need to go for.
Why aren't you using favorites?
After that, I created a favorite.
After the 7th time, I'm using a favorite.
Pranav, you need to go to admin training again. So it's free for next 2 weeks. Just
I'll go through it now.
There's Dhruv with the plug again. Nice, nice, guys.
But thank you, Chuck, once again. I know we are really tight on time.
My pleasure.
Thanks for the nuggets of the knowledge. Whatever we get from you is always good. Thanks for making the time once again. And we are going to have a quiz. If you want to stick around, please stick around.
Oh yes, definitely, because I fail these every time. Well, at least the one you did on Bollywood, I had no hope.
Yeah. So I will transfer to Dhruv. Dhruv, the floor is yours, and let's Chuck, you can stay around and see how people are doing, because the winners get goodies again from ServiceNow. It's not from us as Mavericks, but it comes from ServiceNow. Thanks to Earl and Tanvi for helping us out in this.
First, tell me you are able to hear me. Second, there is the QR code. Just scan it. Link is in the chat as well. I'll paste it again if you want. I can try. Or is it still loud?
Yeah, it's loud.
How to do that? I can reshare without volume, but that just survive now.
This is too.
It can take more than 5 minutes. Yeah. Quickly join these things.
Again.
I don't have a countdown. Basically, I can just start the countdown.
Yeah, I think we are full. Because, yeah.
First question. So, be quick, guys. Questions are simple ones. So, look at your phone. If you have seen the session, these were direct slides, direct wordings.
This music sounds like it's out of a toothpaste commercial from 1972 in the UK.
Come on, wake up, guys, wake up. I'm good with that.
I would have gone with number 2. we should sync up on the answers first.
Next one, it should be easier. So it's a mix of, it should be some ServiceNow historical data.
What color is Chuck's tie?
It should be in hash.
Oh, which was not a location.
It should be easy.
My cursor was there only. I clicked it there.
Pranav, even if you win the quiz, I'm not giving you the prize.
There we go.
Okay, so very close. Price? What's the name?
Play that crazy song again.
Again from the slides. People who are getting them wrong, you need to wake up. Go for a coffee.
You're making me doubt my presentation skills.
Don't tell me you got it wrong. New leaders.
Wow. Good job, everybody. Wait, I have to do this. I have to turn this around for the answer.
See, Ashutosh, we need to work on our thing, right? Like, see, how many people don't know that Latangi Prathan is a service copy podcast.
We need to market it.
You better
Yeah.
tell them the joke behind that. Why that one was so funny.
It was like,
I should have taken a
Stop now.
screenshot. Craig would have appreciated that.
another one from slides.
Ooh, good question. One more time.
That was good. People are attentive, no? You're attentive in the session, you're gonna win prizes. That's a simple idea. After he's back.
Still anybody's game. You want the year or do you want the exact date?
I'm not gonna make it that complex.
You want his employee number? I give you his mobile phone number too. I I got a text from somebody impersonating Bill McDermott. It didn't work.
Still,
I
I think
the
people have made a
answer is
blind
wrong,
guess, but
right?
yeah, that's fine.
That's right. That's when that picture was taken.
Huh. I felt that answer was not right.
No, it was he joined in 2019.
Oh,
Don't doubt our answers, man.
Let's not get violent.
Tested.
ah.
We just saw that in some random stuff.
I have to wait till the timer is done before I tell you my joke. Log protection sounds like a condom.
ServiceNow has never been good at naming things.
Oh my god. You would not have thought of that.
Are we still recording? Oh, we are still recording.
Yes. This is continue. No problem.
Okay, the last one. Chuck, this one is for you. This one will give you the maximum points. So, well,
You asked this one last time. This is a
you
real
have 20
question.
seconds to still write your answers.
I think this was also in Brad's farewell. When we had Brad's farewell pronunciations. This was also one of the questions.
You know what's gonna happen? People will gonna spell his last name incorrect.
Right.
See this? People know that it's able tutor, but they don't know the spelling of tutor. Something Chuck.
I think tutor. Oh my god.
Okay, so let's see who's the
Boy,
winner.
boy.
Oh, man.
Oh boy.
Saransh, Hari, Vipul, congratulations guys, but you need to share your emails to Ashutosh and he will get you the vouchers. I hope you guys had fun and Ashutosh,
Yes, Saranesh, you have to reach out to me on
Oh,
LinkedIn,
man.
and I will take some details from you so that I can give you the
Pranav,
goodies.
you again lost, man. I thought that you were gonna win this.
I intentionally lost.
Oh
Even
man,
though I didn't even try.
don't say this. You were pretty active. You said that my cursor was on there, so I was expecting you to win at least.
After you
Pranav,
said right, I won't get it. So I just answered all the thing wrong.
Pranav, I'm not saying anything to Marcelo. We're gonna let this one go.
We
I
have to
will,
cut this one, Ashutosh.
I will stop the recording. Give me a minute.
Thank goodness.